anyone who's listening to our live stream, everybody is safe and healthy. And as a community, I hope that we get through this days, weeks, and we're a better community for it. But I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening. If you can't get through and you have a question, my phone number, 315-952-3795. I have it right in front of me. Please feel free to call, and we'll try to take care of your questions. Trustees, any questions on the agenda? Do you have any deletions or additions? I have one, and that will be an executive session, advice of counsel, and that will be 13A. Okay. So first is our plan, the COVID plan and where we are to date. Right now, I don't know if anybody had a chance to review the governor's press conference today, and as well as Ryan McMahon's from the county executive's office. We are very close on the reopening plan for May 15th. We have met most of the criteria except for testing, and there's some question on the testing criteria. We have had meetings with each one of the department heads over the last few days. And moving forward, if the county reopens on the 16th, we would like to start a phased reopening plan in the Fayetteville. Mike and I met with Pat last week on Friday at the DPW. As of today, the DPW has gone back to normal operations. So they are doing everything that we normally do, and they are acting as if the pandemic plan, while it's still in effect, they are working through all the daily routines and issues that we deal with at the DPW. As of today, the fire department will continue to be, the status is the same as the last 7 weeks. We are still not letting anybody in the firehouse that's not either part of the firehouse or has a badge. And we are in a holding pattern for anything other than going on calls and responding to the needs of the department. If we go into an open situation on the 16th, the codes office will go back to normal operations on the 18th, as well as the clerk's office. Lori and I spoke earlier tonight, and what we will do is for the first couple of days when they get back, we will still do the appointment only at the clerk's office until they have everything back up running and they're comfortable that they can take residents' concerns and needs face to face. The screen that we put up for the election will stay up until further notice, and our pandemic plan will stay into effect. But we are officially, if the county goes into it, we're officially be coming into phase 1 of the COVID pandemic plan. Any questions on that? Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, welcome, Tim. Okay, next is our draft meeting minutes from April 27th, 2020. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
Second by Pam. I have one change under pandemic plan and changes, where it said Mayor Olson explained that he wants to wants these added to the plan according to the season and to the conditions. Any other changes, deletions, corrections?
I'm good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is abstract 20 today in the amount of $265,584.45. One of those vouchers is for me for a cell phone cover and charging station for $75.89, I think it was. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. That was Dennis. Moved by Mike. Okay. Did everybody hear that from Lori? That
Yeah.
90,000 of this, 190,000 of this abstract is the last bond payment for the building. So from our construction that we started in 2004, finished in 2005, 15-year bond payment. This was the last one that was in this budget. So our municipal building project is officially paid off. Any other questions?
How come we don't have a party when you burn your mortgage?
When we get through this, Dan, we'll do something hopefully more than just that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have the chicken permits. I spoke to Mike and all have been looked at and checked out. 114 Walnut Street.
Was that the one with the bees?
No,
Oh, that's Warren Street.
That's Warren Street.
so this is Walnut Street and they're looking for 6 or fewer. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yes.
So Mike has reviewed it and it's all in compliance. We didn't hear, we sent notices out. We have not heard from anybody of the neighbors. And everything else is in order.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Oh, there's a good picture of what it's gonna look like.
Higher.
Nice.
A little higher. Oh, perfect.
Okay. And that is 51 inches high, 41 inches wide, 77 inches long. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is 307 Center Street. Yep. They are looking for 6 or fewer. Okay. You guys see it okay? Okay, and then that's what it's gonna look like.
Wow.
And that one is 81 inches long. .33 inches wide, 46 inches high. We did receive 2 letters. I live at 314 Brooklyn Drive and received a notice that my neighbor to the back applied for a chicken permit. I have concerns about noise and possible predators. Recognize the rights of the property owner. When I reviewed the Board of Trustees minutes from 5/13, it was noted at the time when the village had not received any complaints on chickens. I was curious if this has changed over last year. So we have not received any complaints and we have not revoked any permits from anybody that has requested one. Then we also received another email. Yay, I am in favor of hens. Nay, I'm not in favor of a rooster. And this is from a lady on Mechanic Street. So, and if you know the code, that's not an issue. So those are the only 2 letters that we received in regards to this property owner's request. So we need a motion.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
So we have agreement signed by them that they understand the rules and everything, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everything I can show you.
Mike has those.
Yeah. Actually, Mike and Karen review it in the office.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I just want to make sure that everything's in line.
The date submitted, the date the board reviewed it, the date the site was reviewed, and code enforcement office is positive, and he reviewed it on 5/7.
And they sign it.
He signed, yes, it's initialed by Mike.
I think what Dan is asking is,
They
do
sign
the
it.
people have the knowledge that they can be revoked? Do they sign anything saying that they understand the code, that if we get complaints, it could be revoked? Is that on the application somewhere? I don't recall.
I don't either.
Hold on, that's a good point. I'm pretty sure it's in there, but let me just double check.
Well, it can be done whenever, as long as they're made aware of it. If it isn't in there, we don't have to do it right now, but.
They
yeah,
are made
that's-
aware of it, if I may interject. It's definitely something on the certificate of approval that when it's given to them, it has that clause in it.
Okay, that's all I would, I don't have chickens, so I never got that part of it so far.
Oh, right here, Mike. Mike, you ready?
Yeah,
I recognize by signing the application, I'm giving consent to the code enforcement officer of the Village of Fayetteville to enter the subject property for purposes of information relevant to the processing of the application. I also understand by acceptance of a permit, I agree to allow a representative of the Village of Fayetteville to access the property covered by the permit at reasonable time for the purpose of asserting compliance with the permit. And then down, I know that we have the part in the permit that we show.
right,
that-
yeah. Karen just said, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I can't remember how they went about that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The last one is 209 Warren Street, and this was tabled after the last meeting. If we remember, they had the bees that were in the side yard, and we had some complaints about the bees swarming. The bees have been moved. I went there 2 weeks ago on Friday night and actually talked to them, and they were very nice, and they just had gotten the bees when they put them in that side yard, and they were agitated. They are now back towards the barn. And they were moving them there, and they were just trying to get them in the sun. But the barn location towards behind the hedgerow and over would work. But they wanted to be good neighbors, and they didn't want to have any issues. So they agreed to move them, and they said if they have to look at it again, they will look at it again. But they not started to build this chicken coop. They did have a chicken coop before. We had no issues with them, and they were actually one of the first residents to have that. So it's a corner lot, which is a little different than some of these other ones. Everybody see it okay?
Yep,
Yep.
So I think they were very sincere in the fact that they do not want to be bad neighbors and they do want to do the right thing. So I'm very comfortable that they're going to do the right things. So we need a motion to go ahead and authorize this permit application.
so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Main Street grant update. To give everybody an update, the contract is signed, submitting it. I had a conversation with the county executive last week. This is going to be funded. This was part of last year's budget. So we are able to proceed now that we have signed agreement on the projects that were laid out in our grant proposal. Pat and I have spoken. We'll meet again about streetlights, Brookley Drive, the striping, the sidewalks going along Mont Road and up Genesee Street to connect that process. Ted, have we heard any more on the property on Genesee Street with the Bundy people?
No, I had not heard anything else. They
Okay.
knew we didn't want to close until after June 1st.
Okay.
So presumably the realtor indicated and he was going to put a package together and get it to me. I'll bug her.
Yeah,
Towards the end of
just
the
because
month.
we can proceed now that we have a signed agreement.
Okay,
So, we're progressing through that and the money is there. This is 100% match from the county. So they're paying the whole process on that. We're also, when Pat and I spoke, we're trying to get the town because we're going to pave the Brookley Drive together. So we want to get that done at the same time that we're going to do some streets in Brookside with the machine that we use to take up the roads. It's because it's a daily rate. So any questions on the Main Street grant? Next is the I&I agreement. We spoke with the county today. They actually talked about our agreement today. One of the things that's unique about Fayetteville and our sewer system is we're one of the I&I credit program and such a robust training or tracking and information on the program. So it's still being looked at. And and things have slowed down a little bit because of all the other procurement and the things that they're having to do for COVID. But this is still being worked on. We did, again, budget for it fully in the budget just in case this doesn't happen. But I'm hoping, I left another message with Frank and spoke with Shannon from the county web, hoping that we have some movement on this at our next meeting. Peter Street, Ted, give an update.
Yeah, we're kind of treading water here. Several weeks ago, I spoke to Charlie Welch. He indicated he had two different market analysis done that he wanted us to consider in trying to strike a deal with him. So I wrote him, asked him to send those along, and he hasn't done that yet. I called him today, actually, and say, what's going on? And he said he's had trouble getting hold of the two people that did these reports. He can't. So what I told him I was going to do is, he gave me the name of one of the people, and I'm going to draft a letter for Charlie and I to sign, send to this real estate person and say, hey, send me a copy of the report. Just to try to get going and make sure he's not pulling our leg terribly here. So that's about where we are.
Can we try to keep that moving forward? Because I know that that's part of the state funding.
Yes, yeah, I understand.
Once the state lets us know what the funding reductions are.
Okay.
Harder to get money. Okay.
Number 9, Lori.
Are we gonna echo? Or should I
Can
mute?
you guys hear Lori okay?
Sounds cool.
I'm gonna turn mine off, Lori.
So we met with the contractor for the senior center. Did it work? No, let me mute mine.
Sorry, guys.
We can't hear a thing now. Mayor, you got to turn yours on.
Yes.
We don't contract that.
We can't hear you, Lori.
We can't hear a
The
thing.
contractor is putting together his WMBE paperwork and all the stuff that the community development requires and all the contract requires from the state because of the grant funding that we got. So is Mike Jones on? I don't see Mike on. He was supposed to meet with Mike last Tuesday. The county did ask us to slow down during this, and we didn't, even though some construction was essential, they didn't want us to do the work at the present time. So we said, that's fine. We'll get all our paperwork in line. We'll get all of the submittals done with the architect. We'll move through all the processes of the things that we need to do so that when the construction, like May 15th happens, we can start and get going. So we will follow up with the senior center. But the goal is to get him on site and started right away. I know June 1st is, looks like the official open date of the senior center. If everything goes well in the phasing program with the county executive has laid out. But Pat Massett, have you striped the parking lot there yet that we talked about?
Yes, the senior center has been striped.
Okay. And it looks like Wednesday is going to be good for the other striping. It looks like we're going to be above 50 degrees, so we can get that done on Wednesday, hopefully.
Yep, if everything goes good, we're gonna give it a shot.
Okay, good. So we will get more information on this project and get it sent out to the trustees, but the goal is to get this contractor on site and starting on Monday, May 18th. Okay, any questions on the senior center project? All right. So all of you got a email and a copy of a letter from our engineer who reviewed the floodplain analysis for the Waterside Commons project or the Highbridge Commons project. Did you receive a copy of that?
Yes, I believe so.
So we were all waiting for that before we start the seeker process. Ted, now that we have that letter, I think it's time that we start the seeker process. What does the village need to do to start that process?
Have we had the village engineer review that yet? The seeker submissions? I can't recall as I'm sitting here.
He said, has the seeker been reviewed by the village engineer? We did the floodplain. Yeah, no, we have had both of them reviewed. We can get you the evaluation from the village engineer based on what we know to date. But if the village engineer has done it and the floodplain engineer has done it from the village, what would the next step be then?
Just to schedule a public meeting where we go through the seeker submissions and decide if we have enough to make a decision.
Okay. So I'd like to have us start this process because it's going to take some time to get through the seeker review
Okay,
project. So can we schedule that for our next Board of Trustees meeting, which we have to talk about because it's scheduled for Memorial Day. Is everybody okay for that following Tuesday? The 26th?
I believe I am.
I'm good.
Yep.
We need to make a motion to move our May 25th meeting to May 26th.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Dennis. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes. We're still going to be in, I would assume we're still going to be in that Zoom process. But that may change depending on what comes out of the governor's regulations and the county executive's regulations. So Ted, we will get with both engineers, get you the information you need so that we can get that prepared for that meeting.
okay, thanks.
Okay? Do you need anything else, Ted?
No,
Trustee Kinsella, Fire Department, purchases?
Yeah, well, he's got that, everybody should have gotten a thing online. Same thing Pat's doing. The,
Doctor?
Yeah, it's the undercoating, Mark, that we do in the vehicles.
undercoating.
Yeah, I have the copy of yours, Pat. I don't have the, Paul, do you have a
Yeah,
copy?
he should have sent you one. I can read it off.
It's $1,409.55.
$1,409.55. That's right. He sent them, I asked him to send them to everybody.
I left it in the office for Karen to make a copy. I think she did, because I gave it to her and she made copies.
That's fine. I'm good with it.
So we're doing this because of the brine and the salt and the problems that we've had with the undercarriage of these trucks rusting out.
Yeah, comes out to $1,409.55.
And this can be done right at the station, correct, Paul?
Total 9 vehicles.
No,
No?
we do it off-site.
Okay.
We do it because our manufacturer needs to have a paint protection plan. And this suffices for a paint protection plan so we can warranty our equipment.
Okay. So Dan, did you make a motion for that?
That's it. Yes, I did.
Okay, moved by
Second.
Danny, seconded by Dennis. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other purchases, Dan?
I don't know, Paul, got anything? That's the only one I had.
Paul?
No, sir, no more purchases.
Thank you. Thank you. We have been extending the leave of Jansen since he took a job in Manlius. I'm not asking for the board to extend that anymore. Anybody have an issue if we don't extend that leave anymore?
No, I'm fine with not extending it.
Agreed.
Thank you. We have 2 resignation letters from the fire department. First one is from Matt Parker. I'm requesting, I regret to inform you, after long consideration, I've accepted a full-time position with another employer. Please accept my resignation in the Village of Fayetteville as of May 31st, 2020. I appreciate all you in the village have done for me and the opportunities given to me within the department. And then we received another one. Dear Chief Hilder, please accept my letter of resignation as position of Fayetteville Fire Department. My last day will be May 31st. I have been appointed the new career captain in the Manlius Fire Department. After careful consideration, I've decided to accept this position what is best for my family at this time. It's a tremendous opportunity for me professionally and personally. Please understand that it has been not an easy decision to make. I sincerely appreciate the support and opportunities I've had in Fayetteville over the past decade. Review article section 12.1 of the CBA. I'm requesting payment of the unused vacation time. And that is the same with Matt. He's asking for his unused vacation time. So we need to make a motion to accept these resignations and pay out the vacation time per the bargaining agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dennis, seconded by Pam, and that would be with regrets. We wish them the best. Any questions? All
No,
in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do we want to do the other one tonight? Offer letter? Chief, did you want to do that offer letter tonight?
I would like to, yep.
Okay. Yeah. You have it, Lily? Okay. The chief is requesting that we extend an offer of employment to one of our part-time employees, Nate Baker. Start date of May 22nd. Base pay, vacation time, probation will start until 1/1/2021. Personal time of 24 hours, sick time of 6 hours per month, and a probationary period of 8 weeks. That's because he's an employee already. All other items pertaining to the employee handbook as referenced in the union contract and the village handbook. So we need to make a motion to hire Nate Baker at the starting rate in the contract effective May 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion? Chief, any comments?
No.
Two. One, I want to make sure that everybody understands that I've asked him to go to paramedic school at his first availability. So I want to make sure we put money away for that. And the second is the probationary period. I think that depends on what we have to do with the position with civil service. If we have to go through hoops and fire to get it, we will extend it to 52 weeks, like I told him. If we're going down the road we've been trying to go down, I was fine with 8 weeks. So that totally depends on how what civil service allows us to do. He is fine with either.
Good. Okay. Any other questions, trustees? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Also, speaking with the chief last week, the second position will be left open at this present time due to the fact that you guys have all seen on his daily reports, the medical center, urgent care has closed. And then with the COVID and the things happening, some of the volume of the ambulance calls is down. So rather than add a position or fill the position, we decided to wait to see what happens. I appreciate the chief's willingness to work with the village on this and making sure that we stay within the guidelines of the budget that we presented to the town. We will spend a little bit more on overtime in some areas, but overall, until we fill the position, this will help save some money until we figure out exactly how we come out of this from a standpoint of the ambulance calls as well as the financial health of the labor lines in his budget. Anything I missed, Chief?
No, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're going to have one ambulance in service and one fire truck. And so unless I get a bump with some volunteer staffing during the day, there will only be one ambulance in service at a time. So if that one goes out, there will be mutual aid ambulance will be coming to pick somebody up.
Last week was really the first week we've seen a big drop off, correct, Chief?
Yeah, I think last week was pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad and it's good and it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
We
Oh,
have
line was
something
bad.
on that revenue. The good is that nobody's calling us. So,
Correct.
but alone today, you've had 3 calls and normally you're 8 or 9. So
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, any questions for the fire department?
We're not done.
Okay. Go ahead.
I've been working with the union on a vacation time off planning agreement.
Mhm.
There's 35 weeks left in the calendar year and they have 53 weeks of time left. They're going to go, what we're trying to do is schedule it out so everybody starts taking their time, realizing that I can't have more than one person off at a time. What this is going to do is there's going to be a lot of time left at the end of the year that we've got to figure out how we want to manage with the union. So they're trying to come up with a thought. I sent you guys all this little layout that we talked about. I emailed it off to you later this afternoon. So basically what it boils down to is either paying out a second week's vacation or letting them cash in a second week into the sick bank. I will tell you that the sick bank option's not a fan. They're not a fan of that, at least some of them. And that has to do with how many hours they'll be able to carry for retirement. And this really applies to the people that have 4 weeks of vacation more than anybody. So trying to work with them because of the situation we've developed. A lot of people took time off in the beginning and that kind of has snowballed into this big pool of time. So I just, we need to have a plan. That's all. And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. I think I'd like to review this with Dan and then run it by John Corcoran just to see exactly what his thoughts are. Just getting it tonight at whatever time we got it. I haven't had a chance to review it. The sick bank, I'm glad to hear they don't want it because most of them turn back, hours and vacation and stuff, and their sick banks are in pretty good shape. So I'd rather try to work on something that we can, work together with them on. I understand some of this is not their fault. So I think we're willing to work on it. We just need to look at the budget impact on this year. Maybe we put some money aside to cover what this will be as we close out this year and carry that over to pay for that. I just want to get it through John Corcoran and make sure that we're on sound footing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So Dan, if you're good, they don't need an answer right now, do they, Paul?
No, nope, not at all. I mean, but we're going to start scheduling vacation time. He's working on it, but it always helps if there's an agreement back and forth because otherwise they don't have to do anything.
Right.
And I can play hardball and I don't want to do that stuff. So I want to have an agreement.
I don't think you need to play hardball and I don't think you need to tell them that I'm not interested if we are. I just want to make sure whatever we do, that John looks at it and he's good with it. And then we just make sure that we know what the financial impact is so that we can pull that money out so that it doesn't affect next year's budget.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to have some money left over, some because we're way down in ambulance revenue, but we're going to have some money left. So I'd rather pull that aside and then put that into a, unused vacation accrual that we can pull that out of for the weeks that you're going to use in this calendar year. Okay.
Yep.
So Dan and I can put that together with Lori's help.
Yep, absolutely.
Chief?
That's it.
Okay. DPW, Trustee Small.
So you've probably all received Pat's memo list here. Open projects, the curbside pickup door hangers, Mark and I reviewed that and I think they're ready to go. The only concern I had that brought up at the last meeting and that we still have to look at is the construction debris pickup and things that we talked about last meeting about whether we wanted to continue doing that. We stopped doing it during the pandemic and whether we go back to it or want to go back to it. Pat did send me the last several years worth of cost for that. And the highest year, it was say close to $35,000 cost to the village to pick up that type of debris. So I don't know if you want to go forward with some door hangers that they could be placing out there now for people. We want to look more at that construction thing before we produce those, and come up with different options. They have those dumpster bags available that are picked up by Waste Management. Pat sent me that information also. I don't know if you want me to just look into it over the next couple of weeks before the next meeting and just send out a quick email within a week here or so to let everybody know where we're at with things and what the actual numbers are, and make a decision at the next meeting as to how we want to proceed with something like that.
Yes.
Sidewalk grants we know about as far as South Springs and Pine Ridge, that's scheduled for June or July.
Yeah, and Mike, let's not forget that project, contracts are signed with Tobin. The grant plus the share of what we were short comes out of the CHIPS funds. So CHIPS funds are effect. So I know number one, he has to pay Brookside Lane, Margot Lane. We've got to wait till we see what that delta is, so we know how many streets.
Right.
And plus we need to see what the governor is going to do with the extreme winter money in the CHIPS program, as well as the CHIPS program. There could be 20% cuts to that. So first and foremost, Lori needs to figure out how much we need out of the CHIPS money to balance the project on.
To do the bridge, and then we
And
can
the
do the
balance
rest.
goes towards, right, then the balance goes towards
Paving.
road work in Brookside.
Okay. We talked about the Western Gateway as far as the financial parts of it. They've been working on the sidewalk plans, and there's a right-of-way permit needed that you're working on, Mark, or checking into?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I talked to Betsy Parmley last week. She just wants to first see who are the contractor we're going to hire. I told her we're going to go off county contract. She said, that's good. Just let us know, and then we'll get a permit issued. I don't think it's going to be that easy, but I'm hoping.
right. Okay. We know about the streetlight in Signal Hill that's not going to be replaced straight away. The limestone Bishop Brook project that's going back out to bid. We
Yeah,
know
we'll
about
hear.
that.
Yeah, we won't hear until June. You know,
Right.
ready to go back out. So
Just kind of an ongoing type of thing that we have going. The same with the bridge on Walnut Street and about the project there.
yeah.
We talked about striping parking lots and crosswalks already, and the MS4 report for last year we talked about with B&L. And then the stormwater.
That's all signed.
That's all done. I thought we did that last time, yeah. So, all right. And then purchases, that's additional paint and things we need for striping, Pat?
Are you going off the old one or the new list? There's no paint on.
Oh, okay, I must be going off an old one then, sorry.
He's got spring cleanup of 24 leaf rakes and 6 pitchfork for $500 from Granger.
That's on state contract through Granger's.
So we need a motion to go ahead and approve those purchases so that we can keep going with the spring cleanup.
So moved.
Need a second?
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Next is that boondocker undercoating for the vehicles. Pat, did you total this up?
Yeah, it was 3,266 for 19 pieces. Should be at the top of your memo. Did I total it up from his sheet? No.
Lori has page 2. I only got page 1.
I only got page 1.
Did you budget for this, Pat?
Yeah, it's always in our central garage.
Okay. And that was about what you budgeted?
Yeah, his total cost subtotal was 3,629.05. He gave us a 10% discount of 362.91, so it came out to 3,266.14.
We need to make a motion to go ahead and boondocker.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Dan moved it. Mike seconded it. Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Then you have other purchases to do springtime work, topsoil and seed, and stump repairs.
Yeah, this
What that's going to cost you, Pat?
no, not offhand. It's based on how many loads we have to pick up. It's usually not that expensive. It's basically spring cleanup for the plow damage parks that we have to take care of and stump repairs. We left a lot of stumps when we got our stump cutter late in the season. And also I didn't put down on there is if you guys want me to, I need to get some mulch for the parks to start dressing those up.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So So we need to make a motion to authorize him to do the topsoil and seed purchase for plow damage for 2020 season.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Okay, moved by Pam, seconded by Mike. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then truck 6 is just being delayed, Pat?
Yeah, the vendor called me last week. He said that the body manufacturer isn't gonna be able to even start until probably June, and we may end up with a truck in July or August sometime in there.
Okay.
That was the truck we ordered last year.
Mike, and then you're gonna bring up this debris policy at the next thing so that everybody can see it.
Yeah, I'm going to get it to you before. I'll get it to you later this week. What the numbers have been in the past as far as construction debris is concerned, and then what some options might be that we would consider, and then we can go forward with a decision and then get those door hangers out so that they're ready to go.
Okay. And then-
Just for information, those door hangers we have are still working. So it's not like we have to do this real fast, Mike. We can, put it
Okay.
together as we talk about it. And then if it has to go into June, it's no big deal. I just
Okay.
want to get two door hangers into one.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, we will do that. I don't want to hold you up on stuff that, we can get accomplished at some point. So we won't have to make a decision, hastily to make a bad decision, but I'll get the information to you so we can start discussing it and come up with a good decision about it.
Okay. I've got two other issues that have come up since I left work. It's 303 Lincoln Street, a tree, Dan. I guess
303,
anyway,
303 what?
303 Lincoln Ave was a tree that apparently a limb came out, and Dan Kinsella was talking to Danny Way about it. So it's a tree we need to get down, but it has wires in it. So we're going to have to hire it with a contractor if we do it. And I'm going to have to get a price on it.
Is it an emergency right now?
No, I don't think it's an emergency right now,
Okay.
but it's a problem. It got evaluated last year and they said it was all right, but the limbs keep falling off it. And the other day they were sitting out there and one came within 10 feet of them.
So why don't we get an estimate just to see exactly what the cost impact are?
I don't think he's, in order for him to really have a formal complaint, he'd have to send that through to Lori. And the only complaint so far that he's done is through me.
Okay.
That's fine. It's just a matter, I've got to get a quote on Bartlett or somebody to get the tree down.
Let's
So I
get a
can-
quote and then we'll move from there, Pat. What was the other item?
Pam had asked me about a tree in between her house and her neighbor's house, but it sounds like there's no wires issues there, so we should be able to take care of that ourselves.
And that's in our right of way?
I have to look at the tree to make sure 100%. I think it got passed on to Leslie, and I've got to go up there and take a look at it.
Okay. And then Mike, on C was a vacation. Is there a request or something that we needed to, or is that just something that was left on?
Not that I know of, unless Pat, was that the other?
Yeah, I think it should have been the sick bank.
Right.
So Pat had given us a letter before the last meeting. Fayetteville Mayor and Board of Trustees, I know there is a federal, state, and county rules that have been developed to handle some of the needs of the employees with time off and unprecedented pandemic. Board of Trustees could take a small gesture into consideration to help things that are not covered for employees. I would request that the board allow me to transfer 216 hours of my 890 hours of sick time to any employee who may need it. I hope it could be used and supplement what the federal, state, and county has not been able to provide. With the uncertainty of how long this could last, I hope to do a little part of our most valuable asset, the employees. Thank you to the mayor and the board of trustees during this difficult time and considerations for this request. And that's of Pat Matt. So Pat, Mike, and I spoke last week. There would be 9 employees times 3 days each, or 24 hours, and that is 216 hours. So what Mike and I and Pat had discussed is effective 6/1 of this year, to be eligible to use up to 3 days. And we just have to run this through John Corcoran, obviously. So we give approval of the Board of Trustees upon approval of council, set up this sick bank that Pat has donated to the employees of the DPW.
Oh,
So we need a motion to go ahead and authorize this with approval of council.
So moved.
second.
Patrick, this is very nice. I just need to run it by our labor attorney to make sure everything's copacetic. And we will work with Lori, set this up so that each employee knows what's going on.
I appreciate that.
Yep, thank you. Any questions, trustees? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is
Mark,
the,
there's one item that I don't think Mike mentioned, maybe I didn't hear it, about the right-of-way permit. I know we discussed that.
yeah, I didn't have it on the agenda. I'm sorry. But I did make, Dan, I went through and made all the changes that I saw on Friday when I met Mike and Pat. The only question that we keep coming up with is bonding versus deposit. And I think a deposit is better than something trying to get people to do a bond.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I'm going through here, thinking, I could, I would rather see a deposit. But as I go through here, I don't know how we can do it with regard to public utilities.
Couldn't they just have a blank deposit put down to cover the whole year?
As Pat and I discussed at one point, it's understandable if a contractor comes in and wants to hook into a water line or something like that and digs our road up, our sidewalk up, whatever. But it's a different story if there's an emergency, well, not an emergency, but if if National Grid or the Water Authority wants to do something, I think there's a difference, whether it's done by a private, it's done for private use or it's done for municipal use.
The biggest thing with that, Dan and Mike or Mark, is that when a utility contractor comes in, he's usually most of the time a private firm that they've hired. National Grid will hire one, Aqua will hire one to do the repairs on the road. So if we look at that as a private contractor opposed to the utility, that would be a discussion we could have with them and say, look, if your contractors are coming in, we need to make sure that they put the work back in so it's all agreeable to all of us.
That's I agree totally with that.
But then the other problem is when we 3 months later, 4 months later, it collapses. Just like you said, you're having a problem with the sewer, that Aqua's saying it's our sewer causing that, and it's not causing that. And now we can't get the contractor to come back and fix it.
Well, then it would have to come back onto the utility itself to have them review their contractor's work to say, look, this isn't acceptable at all for what they've done.
See, Dan, I don't think it's a bad thing to say to Aqua, National Grid, the telephone company, Time Warner, not that they have a lot in the ground, if anything. This is our policy, and we need a deposit of $1,000, $5,000, and we put it in an escrow account to cover any damages that will not be covered by a contractor that you hired.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, that's fine. I just thought there was maybe we should distinguish it, but I understand. That's all right with me.
Okay.
So what was the duration of time that we keep it? Did we say?
Indefinitely. I think it's an indefinite deposit. You know what I mean? Listen, if we get a deposit from Aqua and we don't use it for the year, we can write them a letter and say, do you want us to carry it over? And we just carry it over. Or if we use it and we run out, maybe we set the policy where before we take it out, we talk to you and say, listen, we got a complaint on Center Street. Your contractor, it has collapsed. We need to go fix it. It's going to cost this much. Do you want us to take it out of your thing, or do you want to send a crew over to fix it? It's up to you. But I don't think we should continue to pay all this money to repave these roads and then 6 months later come in and chew it up.
It'll just make them more accountable to who they hire or how they follow up with who they hire, probably.
Yes, I agree with that.
Well, it sounds good. Let's write it up and vote on it. I'm all
Okay.
set.
I'll put that on for the next agenda, Pat.
Okay.
Anything else for the DPW? Okay, next is number 13. So now that school is closed, I'd like to see, there's nothing that the crossing guards can do. So I'd like to furlough our crossing guards, which would give them the ability to collect unemployment and also collect the COVID-19 extra money while we continue to pay for their benefits, for their health insurance and anything else that we give them as a benefit. I just think the city has done this, and I think we have 3 of them. There's no school, and we'll do this through July 31st, and that's when the COVID money for the unemployment stops, and then we'll make a decision on what we want to do, depending on what happens with school after that. Now we're paying full salary, and you know, most people are doing something. There's absolutely nothing that the crossing guards, not to diminish what they do, this is not going to affect them in any way financially if we furlough them. So I'd like to make that motion that we do that effective immediately, and then work with them on the furlough process with the Department of Labor.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Round table. Dan?
What?
Round table.
Oh, round table. Oh, okay. No, I don't have anything.
Mike?
Well, Karen sent me a report on the beautification donations through the end of April, and that is at $8,100, just to give everybody an update of where it is. Hopefully funds will still be coming in, or donations will still be coming in, and the pots are scheduled to come out as typical around Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully we won't have a foot of snow that day, but it's what they're anticipated for. The only other thing is at the senior center, they have, Manlius Senior Center has meals to go on weekdays. So the Fayetteville Senior Center has started the first weekend in May, doing 2 weekend meals that they can pick up, seniors can pick up on Friday, and have 2 meals just to heat or reheat or whatever on the weekend. They're cooked and prepared, and that's been very successful for 2 weekends now. So they are going to continue doing that. I did have an email from Tony who mentioned about them reopening. And the email from Tony, the president of the board, just kind of reiterated the fact that they'll be following, you know, the county and the state's lead, and looking at policies and looking at reopening as it's available to people. It may or may not be June 1st exactly. That's what they hope to do. But in the meantime, they're trying to do some of these other types of things that will keep seniors active and involved there, at least partly as much as they can, until they can reopen. And they do have several things planned that are just put on hold basically until they can figure out when the best time to do some of their activities and fundraising types of things that they have. So.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all.
And again, if there's anything that I know in his email, he talked about the village, we will help in any way we can with, you know, guidance and things like that. But I know that the county has a good program for the aging that they can help us with any information that you may need. So, okay, Pam?
I have comments about the parade. So I'm waiting to hear what is going on with that. I had stormed some things about celebration, so.
So speaking with the county executive, we have weekly conference calls, all the mayors and even the mayor of the city of Syracuse. And at this time, he doesn't feel, and I agree with him, that it's prudent for the parade. From a standpoint of the social distancing and all the things that have to happen, plus trying to put this together. You know, we are just going to be hopefully going into phase 1, and it's just not at this time the prudent thing to do. So
Sure.
I'd like to officially cancel our Memorial Day parade. With that said, I have spoken with the VFW and Mr. Delaney and his group. They still want to do the cemetery wreath laying and gun salutes at our Fayetteville Cemetery and at IC Cemetery. And also want to do a wreath laying ceremony at Veterans Park. I have offered our village hall as a place for them to, there's only going to be 8 of them, and they're going to be socially distanced, but after the ceremony at the Veterans Park, you can go over and have coffee and donuts at the village hall. There's plenty of room in this room, care of the coffee and donuts, and just an ability to say thank you to them. So I'll send out a schedule of the 3 events. I think they're going to go for 8 and 8:30. And we're not going to advertise it because we just can't have that many people in one place at the same time. But if any of the trustees want to be part of that ceremony, I do it every year. And I think it's a great way to pay tribute to the people in those cemeteries and the veterans in our community. So, okay, Pam?
I had just one thought. I don't know what our perimeters are about the ladder truck, but I wondered if we could put the ladder truck out there and put the 175th banner up on the top of it.
Can we still have that banner? Is that still on?
I don't know if it would hang. I mean, I don't know if it would be readable hung off of it, or how the wind would handle it or whatever, depending on the weather, maybe.
Pat, do we still have our banner from the 175th?
We have it, we took it down the last time it was a major windstorm, so
Okay. Is it in good shape?
it's in decent shape. I can't say 100% good shape, but I can say it's probably decent shape.
I just wonder if there was any way that it could be displayed more prominently with a fire truck or some kind of village device, so it just looks more celebratory and noticeable. It's all we can do.
Right.
Right, maybe they could use don't they have a big flag they can hang off the ladder truck too? Because it is Veterans Day too. So maybe they could do, a flag or that or combination or something.
Well, what I was going to do is just because there's 5 of them on that day was when we were doing the ceremony in Veterans Park, I'll have them put the ladder up with the flag hanging down from there, overlooking the road. So,
Mayor, can we still have the national anthem sung? Can it still be anything ceremonious? No? Okay. It's just the firing salute.
yeah. So they, they just go into the cemetery at the one in Fayetteville off of Salt Springs, or excuse me, off of FM Road, and it literally is right in the beginning there, and they just do a ceremony, and then when done with that, they drive over to IC. They find a family that has recently lost a loved one, and then they do a quick ceremony, and then they normally go home, and then they meet us at Veterans Park. This year it's going to get changed a little bit timing wise. So, and there's only 6 of them. There's the 4 with the and the 4 that fire off, and then there's the one that does taps, and then there's the one that reads the ceremony. So they're trying to keep the social distance, but they want to continue to do that. And I said, whatever we can do to help support that, we will do that. But we can't get crowds and we can't have people going to that event.
Do we have an idea of what time they'll end up at Veterans Park?
I'll find out. I think it's 8. I think they were scheduled for 8:30, but I can find out.
Mark?
Mr. Parker to see a village resident to see if he will take pictures for us to be able to have a memory of this ceremony.
Also, Judge Hughes should be, if he's in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a good photographer.
Yes.
Mayor, we could move that 175th sign up that's at the Beard Park wall up to the Veterans wall. That would be a display sign right there at the wall, so it'd be predominantly up there.
I think we just have to check to see who's got that reserved for the evening. So the week, excuse me. Anything else, Pam?
No.
Dennis.
I was going to talk about the senior center, but
oh, sorry.
So no, other than that, I have not gotten the police data you requested, but I've asked a couple times, so I'll hit them up again tomorrow.
Good. The village election has been moved to September 15th. Don't know if you guys all saw the executive order that the governor signed. September 15th, 2020, which is a Tuesday. The spring newsletter, Karen has got a draft done. Some editing this morning. That will be mailed. That will be handed out by the trustees or any department heads or employees. We're mailing that out to every resident. If you've seen it on Facebook, we moved the village barbecue at the end of your driveway from last weekend, which would have been a little cold, to this Saturday. If you look at the weather, it looks like it's going to be a nice night. So again, we're asking all village residents to go to the end of the driveway, have a nice barbecue, and wave to their neighbors and enjoy the evening out in our community. Lori, do you have anything? Okay. So that concludes our meeting. We do need an executive session for advice of counsel to include Ted Spencer and Lori Corset. There'll be no other business after this. Thank you to everybody who attended. I see we had 4 or 5 attendees at this time during the event. Thank you very much for watching. And so we need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
I'll move. Second.